here on Guardian Radio 96.9, Dwight Strong, Alicia Hart, and Lester Cox. We are talking with Dr. Kendall Major. We are analyzing the PLP Charter for Governance. We only have about 10 minutes left. But Doc, we were talking about tax reform before we broke the news. There aren't many specifics in the Charter for Governance, just as a review. But what would be the path forward? What would be the way forward in this regard?
I think according to our charter certainly discusses the importance of tax reform and the necessity to change economic costs. I think before the news I talked a little bit, I thought I painted a picture as to why it is important for us to change our approach economically and what measures we're going to put in place to inject and make our tax system and our financial system more efficient. Certainly foreign direct investment will always be a critical part of any government's planning, and so from that standpoint we need the right persons in place, the right personalities, the right minds to sit around the table to travel and to invest, attract investors, the right kind of investors to come into our country and bring those direct investments. I think that's critical. Another critical aspect is the tax reform. What's going to happen with the monies that are generated within our country? National insurance has been a very critical aspect of. We don't see it as tax. We see it as a contribution and a social assistance program. And we have seen over the years when national insurance was first implemented by a PLP government, that the persons balked at it and thought it was onerous and a burden. But we recognize now that one of the best decisions the Prime Minister at the time, Sir Lyndon Tindall, made was to introduce national insurance. Well, I think tax reform will create the same type of conversation and promise over the years. And so we will certainly need to look at some form of taxation, whether it's sales tax, whether it's value-added tax, which seems to be, a combination of both seems to be one of the areas that would be important and critical in going forward. The present tax system is not progressive. It is certainly too narrow, and as I mentioned before, it is counterproductive, and it hurts the poor.
Guest in studio, Nicolette Bethel is back with us, and Stephen Arana. Dwight Strong here with Lester Cox, and we continue. We're going to be talking about demand debates. Is that right?
That's right.
What exactly is that? What are we talking about?
Well, what we're actually talking about a group of us who believe that if we really are to be democratic in this country, we need to have a situation where the people who wish to represent us and make decisions of national import for us and our children should be required to face the people that they want to be voting for and listen to their questions. I'm really not all that interested in being told what to think in rallies, or worse, told how to feel in rallies. I think that the country is far more important and the citizens of this country have far more value than that. So for the last 2 elections, I know there have been, or 3 if we count the by-election, there has been a movement to demand debates of our politicians. And so far, there has been considerable resistance.
You have a specific format. I heard you saying about asking questions. So would it be a question and answer where the public gets to ask the questions, or do you want a reporter to field the questions? And does one method work better than the other?
Well, we've done a lot of looking into the various different kinds of debates. And if anybody's aware of what's been going on in the world, which is not something that we encourage all that much in the Bahamas, but anyway, they will have noticed that in Britain, for the first time, they had prime ministerial debates, which made a major difference in the outcome of the British election 2 years ago. And in Jamaica, they have instituted the Jamaica Debate Commission, which I think also had some effect on how the elections were conducted. And interestingly, in Jamaica, in the last elections, they were also one of the least violent of elections. Possibly, you can't say that, but perhaps it's not coincidental that that election was accompanied by debate. So we're looking at a number of different models. We haven't come up with a model yet, and I don't know whether we should come up with a model, but I think that the time is long past that the people who want my vote should be obliged to tell me why they want my vote, not to pretend that they're telling me what they plan to do. I may not want them to do that for me, but to be willing to sit down with the people that they're asking to vote for them and speak face to face with coherence and some, forgive me, but intelligence about what they plan to do for the next 5 years.
If we look at how the world is changing and how some of these changes are impacting the Bahamas, one thought that crossed my mind recently was the developments in the Arab world at the moment have often been dubbed the Facebook revolution or the Twitter revolution, and while upon closer examination this doesn't necessarily hold to be true because of the limited reach of the internet in those countries, I think about 5% it was estimated for some of them. In the Bahamas we have a very solid internet network. A recent statistic claims that 52% of Bahamians have a Facebook account, for instance. That's more than half the people in this country, and if you look at political fora on Facebook, groups that are dedicated to discussing political issues in the Bahamas, the largest one of them that I'm aware of has close to 11,000 members. Now, if all of these 11,000 members are registered voters, that's over 6% of the electorate, and if we bear in mind that the last election were won by a margin of 2.8%, I think that shows that the Bahamian people, that the Bahamian voters want to engage in a discussion, in a form of two-way communication with the politicians that want their vote.